Hello and welcome back to the GT Cup Championship 2022 for round 18 here at the legendary Silverstone GP circuit. Well, we've already had one race today, but we've still got the pit stop to come. 50 minutes of racing coming your way very, very shortly. However, here's a reminder of what happened earlier in the sprint.
Some are on slicks, most are on wets, but we're about to get our first sprint race of today underway. Steve Burgess in the Radical in a straight line. Might do okay here. I saw Mike Price peel his way off. He was due to start at the back of the grid in the Mercedes, but Steve Burgess, we know, is quick in a straight line at the wheel of that Radical. He's going wheel to wheel with Ian Loggy there as they head round through Copse Corner and head into the unknown, really. You're leaning on the car. You don't know how much grip is there. You don't want to get tangled up in an incident on the first lap, but I'm afraid we've got one already, and that is Tim Kresick, who has lost a wheel on the Porsche and is backwards in the middle of the circuit, and that is surely going to mean a safety car. I can't see how the marshals can get out there and clear it out of the way in time.
No, unless he can drive that thing away, which I don't think he will.
As Ian Loggy comes in, he's changing off a wet onto a slick, so they're making a decision. Steve Burgess is in at the wheel of the Raw Radical.
I think everyone is jumping on the bandwagon with it now, and the Paddock Motorsport number 44 McLaren as well, they've jumped on it, so I would expect to see a lot of these GT3 cars all coming in, but you've got to take advantage of it now whilst you're in the safety car, because you lose far more time as one of the Radicals just lost a wheel.
So there is Ian Loggy on his fresh set of Pirelli slick tyres. He has now caught the train. He's behind David Franklin's Audi. Nice to see David back in the championship, and everybody else is coming in. So Hugo Cook has come in to decide that it's time for slick tyres, and now he is looking to close in on second position. He's got Leo Lucas directly ahead of him. Now, Graham must have started on slick tyres. We weren't aware that he'd started on slick tyres, but if he's on wets, crumbs, he's got some serious pace, because he's about to go through into second position. Brilliant stuff. On for the best result of the season so far, if he can hang on to it. He's got 3 3/4 minutes to go. The fastest laps keep tumbling. Steve Burgess in the Radical might be in 8th position, but he's just posted a 2-minute 12.117 and is on course for a winning Group GTH. Now, Andre Borodin is the cork in the bottle. Steve Burgess will ease his way by at the wheel of the Radical, so a further place lost for the Greystone GT McLaren. And here comes somebody that will be absolutely feeling amazing at the moment. Simon Orange comes through to take the win in the sprint race today. We've got Ian Loggy going to carve his way around the outside of Andre Borodin. So Ian Loggy, he was right at the tail end of the field. He might finish inside the top 6 the way things are going. Problems, I'm afraid, there for Connor Flynn with damage to the rear end of the Group GTA Ginetta. Steve Burgess takes second and sets the fastest lap on the final lap with a 2-minute 6.516. Is Graham Tilley going to finish in 3rd place as Tom Roach looks to try and carve his way around the outside? Yeah, Graham Tilley, season's best, I think that is, for Graham Tilley, driving solo to finish in 3rd place, just ahead of Lucky Kira, who wins Group GTC and finishes in 4th place. And Tom Roach, that's the best finish for a Group GTH car this year, all down to the tyre choice of your team, Paddock Motorsport. Tom Roach will be pleased with that. It'll be a happy Welshman down in the garage. He finishes in 5th.
Tom, a fantastic result for you. Not only did you win in your group, your GTH, but also this was the highest overall position that a GTH car has got so far this season, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Great. Yeah, perfect race really. I mean, it was one of those wets, dries, don't know, just starting 7th in class, just gamble, go slicks. Safety car at the start helped, because obviously that used up the worst of the wet, and it could see it dry in, and yeah, great timing really. Just a big thanks to all the guys at Paddock Motorsport. They've worked really hard this weekend on changing setups, and the car felt great in that race. It was really good.
So how are you feeling going into the pit stop then?
Good, yeah, no penalty in this one. Starting P2, I think. So yeah, fingers crossed we can be up here again.
Well, this weekend sees us head to the home of the British Grand Prix, Silverstone, on the Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire border. It's a world-renowned circuit. It is one that the drivers absolutely love to come and race around, and in its current configuration there are plenty of challenges out there for them as well. First opened in 1948, it was the first of the circuits to host a World Championship Grand Prix, and in its current configuration it's just over 3.5 miles long, split into 3 sectors, and with all of the work that was done a few years ago, there are now 18 corners on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. We start from the heritage pits here, which means that the first corner is Cox, and from there it brings you up to the end of sector 1 at the end of the hangar straight just before Stowe. From there, sector 2 brings us up towards Brooklands, and it's a short final sector through Brooklands, through Luffield, and then flat out over the start finish line through Woodcut Corner. That is a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
Graham, lovely to see you here on the podium. Second in class, third overall in that sprint. Well done.
Yeah, delighted. I actually began to think I'd never get on the podium again because I've struggled a little bit getting used to the new car. And worse than that, I'd never driven the car ever in the wet. So I was really nervous, but the car was great in the wet. And I stayed on wets because it was the safest option. I think the quickest option may have been to come in and change, but it was a bit safer, and I thought with the safety car coming out, I think I can hang this out. But I got overtaken by Steve on the last lap, but he was going much quicker than me. So yeah, delighted overall and thrilled to be back on the podium.
Yeah, well listen, it's lovely to have you back here, and good luck with the pit stop.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much.
Well, good news for Graham Tilley. It's not raining anymore, so he hasn't got to worry about the wet weather, and I think it's safe to say you can keep your slicks on, everybody. Easy decision this time round. We are waiting to go out. We've got a little bit of a delay going on at the moment, hence why our cars are all lined up behind me here. Fine lineup of cars, because we've had a little bit of a red flag going on in the previous race, so we're just waiting for an update on that, so obviously our cars can go out and head out onto the grid. So we have a 50-minute pit stop race. For the majority of people, that is going to be a change of driver during the pit stop, but some people are actually riding this solo, including Steve Burgess, who's going to be seen on pole position yet again. That's the second pole for today, so he's done really well, obviously based on fastest laps from the previous race, which Mark will be explaining more. In fact, Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Michelle. I'm here. Absolutely, yeah.
Hello, in my ear, as always.
Sorry about that.
But no, it's quite all right. So yeah, we've got a bit of a delay, so we may as well have a little bit of a chat about this sort of upcoming race, this pit stop race, and how it differs, obviously, from the sprint, not just in time.
No, absolutely. So it's not just the duration of the race that's different, but also the duration that each car spends in the pit lane is very different, because if you're driving solo, it's going to be 60 seconds stationary in the pit lane, plus any success seconds you pick up from either winning your group, finishing second or third. If you're a sporting driver that's partnered up with a pro sporting, you'll get 70 seconds in the pit lane, plus any extra success seconds you've picked up, either 20, 15 or 10 if you finish first, second or third in your group. Or if you're a sporting driver partnered with a pro, it's 75 plus those success seconds. And the car behind you, Ian Campbell, he's the AM. You can see chatting to him is Ollie Webb. Ollie Webb is classified as a pro driver, so they will be stationary for 75 seconds come the pit window.
In fact, let's just have a chat, because they're here anyway. Hi,
Ollie.
guys. I just thought I'd have a little bit of a chat with you while we're waiting. You can stay here as well. How are you feeling going into this pit stop race? We've got a bit of a delay going on, of course.
Yeah, no, feeling good. Just want to get on with it, really.
It must be quite hard when you're here, sitting in the car, and like you said, you just want to get on with it, and there's this sort of, anticipation.
Yeah, we just try and focus on what we've got to do. I think we've got a decent grid position. It'd be quite nice to be a couple of lines up in front, but we've got a plan. We're going to stick to it, and we're going to hopefully try and get a podium.
Yeah, that's what I like, fighting spirit. And how are you? We may as well have a chat with you as well. You're here. How are you feeling about this race coming up?
Yeah, good. Ian's going to have the longest stint in this one. So on the Sundays, the GT3 guys have the longest stint and the pros have the shortest stint. So I'll get in with around 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And we'll put a fresh set of boots on, and hopefully, because we have no time penalty, because yesterday we finished fourth, so we should have a good fight for a podium today.
Yeah, great. Well, listen, good luck, and hopefully we won't be too much longer getting the race underway. So we've got sort of quite a few I've actually got my all-important piece of paper here, which I've made all my notes on. And we had, at the start of the other race, of course, we had the puncture with car number 17 right at the very beginning, which is quite interesting because actually that car is now at position number 14 on the grid, isn't it, Mark?
That's right, yeah. It was pushed off the grid with a puncture.
Yeah.
It also gave the team the opportunity to maybe change it from wets to slicks. And because of the hard work that Patrick Collins put in race number 1, it was a good lap time. That sees that car right the way up towards the sharp end of the grid. And Ollie Webb, who you were just chatting to there, Michelle, was racing at Spa last weekend, but a few days before that, he got married. So what did he do for his honeymoon? He went to Spa in Belgium and raced last weekend. Ever the romantic, hey, these racing drivers.
Do you know what? If I'd have known that before I spoke to him, I would have had a go. I would have mentioned that. He's obviously got a very understanding now wife, is all I will say. Is all I will say.
She
well, this is
knew
looking
what
quite
she was buying into.
Well, it looks quite promising because I think that light's now gone out, the red light that I could see. The wheels are going on. Obviously, it's a nice, easy choice this time round. It's a nice, easy choice for the tyres this time round, isn't it, Mark? We're going to go slick.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking at the sky, it's about as blue as it's been all day. It's been rather grey and overcast, and there's lots of blue stuff up there now.
Yeah, which is great. It makes obviously a much easier decision for our team. So the wheels are all going on. Oh, it's a good noise. The cars are now going to be heading out onto the grid, which means we can go out there in a minute as well, and I'll have a little wander around. Sorry, I've got my earpiece coming out. Let's stick it back in my ear. There we go. And I'll be able to wander out onto the grid in a second and actually see the cars in their formation and just have a little walk through the grid. But Mark, is there anything else you can tell us specifically about this grid? Obviously, we mentioned car number 17, which has done really well. We've also got, we spoke to Graham Tilley. And he's obviously had a great race, that last race. He was really chuffed with it, and it was lovely to speak to him again on the podium. He's actually row 6, position number 11 going into this one, so that's pretty good for him.
I would say he's probably not as high up as I thought he might be based on his performance in the race earlier on, but I think what happened was that Graham maybe didn't quite push his wet tyres as hard as others, so as a consequence he actually had better wets towards the end of the race when everybody had switched to slicks, so he really did have good pace, so we'll have to wait and see. Ought to say, joining me in commentary for this one, we heard from him yesterday when he was very kind to step in and cover both the sprint and the pit stop race, but back with me today again, because he's been a good lad, is Sam Neary. Sam, welcome back to the commentary box.
Hello Mark, thank you very much for having me back again. It is obviously a pleasure to be beside you again, so yeah, looking forward to another thrilling endurance race that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, those mixed conditions that Michelle was alluding to earlier on, you know, Mo Ritson was thinking, oh, let's go slicks, and then he saw the weather out on the far reach of the circuit and thought, crumbs, we don't want slicks. It was a massive roll of the dice for people, and it worked for some, not for others.
For me, I thought it was absolutely slicks. I was sat there at turn 1, and I also had the footage on, sort of analysing Mo and making sure I was better. But no, for me, I definitely would have been on slicks. I think just the way Silverstone drives, it drives so fast with the sort of F1 surface they put on. So I knew in a couple of laps it'd be slicks. So just had to sort of hang fire, and it showed with the lap times at the end.
How, not frustrating, but you want to be out there today, of course you do, but is it frustrating coming into the commentary box when you look at what's going out on circuit? You must be dying to get back on the grid.
Absolutely, I'm a racing driver. It's all I want to do is be out on that grid. But I've got to be honest, this commentary, I actually am really enjoying it. I think it adds another element to watching the race, just talking about it. So I enjoy being in here, but of course my passion is being out there on the circuit.
And when you're seeing it from the way that we see it, with the fantastic television pictures that we're receiving from On-Site Productions, do you see it from a different perspective than you do when you're in the car?
Yeah, there's definitely a different perspective. When you're in the car, it's never your fault. It's always the person that you're racing or anything. It's never ever your fault until you see the onboard footage after. So no, I'm definitely getting appreciation for looking at incidents in a different manner to you usually do when you drive.
And I suppose that's the thing, is that when you drive, you don't think it's your fault, but because of you know, the judicial side of it, and it is on occasions is trying to identify and apportion blame. Understandably, that's what the officials are here to do. Is that, you know, they have not just the pictures that we are seeing, they have the onboards from the cars as well. So it's, you know, it's usually pretty much cut and dried, isn't it, as to whether either somebody is to blame or whether it's just a racing incident once the officials have reviewed the footage.
Exactly. It's always bad when you get called up to the official. It's like being called up to the head teacher, and every time you get called up, it's never usually good. You don't really want to see the race director, even though they might be nice, you don't really want to see them on a race weekend.
Well, as you're in the commentary box this weekend, there is very little chance of you ending up on the naughty step as far as I'm concerned, Sam. So
I think I'm safe.
for the moment, we've got 50 minutes of racing yet. We'll decide after that as to whether you get detention and have to do some lines or something. So the car's working their way onto the grid, the team officials and personnel all in those blue bibs that they all need to wear. The marshals are standing by to make sure that they also grid up correctly, and also standing by is Michelle, who's down there on the grid.
Yes, I am. Here I am. I'm just sort of further up and slightly to the side because I thought I'd do a little walkthrough of some of the people that I've mentioned, some of the cars that I've mentioned as and when they come through. So I'm kind of like halfway up. Can I just say that I miss seeing Sam Neary here on the grid as well? I do. Well, often up at the front, but it is nice to have him here at least in the commentary sort of department. But should you be worried about your job yet, Mark?
I'm looking over my shoulder, rest assured.
I'm missing you as well, Michelle.
Oh, it's a big old love in here, isn't it, Silverstone?
I thought we were a team, Michelle, and here we are.
We are a team, absolutely. In fact, the GT Cup Championship is brilliant for the whole team spirit, to be honest. I've just seen Steve Burgess making his way through to pole position, which we'll get to in a minute. I was kind of lurking here where position number 14 is, because that, of course, is the car number 17 that started with the puncture earlier, but has done really, really well. Collins, they're just sort of making their way through at the moment. I was hoping we'd see it, but if not, I'll keep walking. Also, Graham Tilley, who I'm expecting to come through any minute now as well. It is a fine-looking grid, and it's a big grid compared to some of the other races, in fact, that we've had here at Silverstone today, where the grids are so much smaller. The GT Cup grid is so impressive. Let's see if we've got them coming through. If not, I'll make my way forward.
I've just seen the number 17 car, I think.
Oh, have you? Good.
Head to the grid position, Michelle, so I could see him working his way through. Patrick Collins scheduled to, I think, to drive this one solo.
There we go. This got number 25 just come through, which is lovely. Oh dear, I probably should make... They need to hurry up. I need to get off. Is he coming through?
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him
right,
pull onto the grid.
Let's see. Some of it's quite tricky because sometimes they have to manoeuvre in between the two cars. Let's see.
Yeah, he's behind. If you look to your right, Michelle. Behind the blue and yellow
right.
one, number
there
17.
We go.
There you go.
That wasn't high up enough. There we go. So let's have a look. Oh, it's orange. I do like an orange car. Love an orange car. So there we go. Patrick Collins, number 17. He is starting way further up. And then we've also got Graham Tilley, whose car I am trying to find. There he is, Graham Tilley, racing with Will Tregertha just over there. You can see in the red Mercedes. So Graham's in place. This is Tom, who I was speaking to earlier, the GTH, the winner in class, but also the highest position that they've ever got in one of the races this season, which is brilliant. They came 5th, so hoping for a good race for Tom. So that's another one. Adam Hatfield here. Who else have we got coming through here? Ian Loggy, a little bit further back than he started in the other race, but he's here no less. We have got Hugo Cook over there, just on the second line, which is brilliant. Working our way through to Simon Orange and Michael O'Brien here in position number 2. And of course, on pole position, once again, Steve Burgess for this race. I've got to clear the track. We are about to go racing, so I'm going to hand over to you, Mark.
Thanks a lot, Michelle. Yep, so we're on the build-up to round 18 of the 2022 GT Cup Championship, our 4th and final race here of what has been a busy old weekend at Silverstone, and the race wins so far this weekend. Steve Burgess, who starts from pole, claimed the win in the sprint race yesterday. The car that is behind him on the grid, so 3rd position on the grid, claimed the win in the pit stop race yesterday, Hugo Cook and Marcus Clutton. However, the car to his left claimed the win in the sprint race earlier on today. So all 3 cars that have won races overall are all, Sam, in the top 3 positions on the grid here.
Yeah, which is obviously, it's great to see that so many different winners, but they're definitely all fiery, and I think there's hopefully not going to be a collision at turn 1, but I would never bet against it at Silverstone. Cops has always caused a few issues.
So off they head onto the formation lap. I'll guide you through the grid. I'll give you the starting drivers. I'll give you how long each car will have to remain stationary in the pit window that will be coming up in this final 50-minute race of the weekend here on the Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone. I'll also hopefully tell you when those pit windows are. Steve Burgess starts from pole position, 80 seconds in the pit lane, and alongside is Simon Orange will start, 90 seconds in the pit lane. Row 2 of the grid, Hugo Cook, 95 seconds, and alongside Mike Price, who's off 75. Row 3 of the grid, Ian Campbell, 75 seconds, alongside Ian Logie, who is on 70. And row 4 of the grid, it's Lucky Kera on 75 seconds, sitting alongside Kavi Jundu, who starts with 70 seconds. Row 5 of the grid, Tom Barrow is on 80 in the BMW. Tomo Shahan is on 70. And row 6, Graham Tilley is on 75. It's the same for Andre Borodin that sits alongside in the 24 car. Row 7 of the grid, 75 seconds for Leo Lucas alongside Patrick Collins. The number 17 car is just on 60. And then row 8, Mark Hopton, 95 seconds. It's the same for Roy Millington in the Ferrari that sits alongside. Row 9 of the grid is Darren Kell, 70 seconds alongside Tom Webb, who is also on 70 seconds. And then the next row of the grid is going to be row number 10. Neil Garnham starts, 75 seconds alongside Steve Ruston, who's on 60. Row 11 of the grid, Jensen Lund starts, 75 seconds in the pit lane alongside James Wallace, who's on 70. And row 12, it's Paul Maxfield, who's got 80 seconds to spend in the pit lane alongside Jody Sloss, who's on 60. The 13th row of the grid, Steph Saw is on 60. Alongside is Phil Carter, who's got 85 seconds. Row 14, John Curry, who's on 75 seconds. It's the same for Stephen Walton that sits alongside in 28th position on the grid. And the final 2 rows of the grid, number 80, Ron Trenker, the American backover for this race, 85 seconds, alongside Ria Lucas, who's on 75. And the final row of the grid, David Franklin on 75. And Tim Kresick, who I gather now drives solo in this race and is not sharing the car with Chris Diamond, and therefore he drops from what otherwise would have been 75 seconds because he was sharing with a pro. Now he's driving solo. He'll only be stationary for 60.
Yeah, sometimes, as we said, the pro can actually hinder you a little bit. Just that 10 seconds extra if you're a quick arm. Sometimes you don't actually need a pro, as Ian Logie sometimes shows. He obviously struggled yesterday, but I think today should be a new day, and we should see a new Ian Logie. So hopefully we can see that pink Mercedes sort of drag his way up the field, and maybe a bit of rubbing here and there to pass, but that's always interesting to watch.
Yeah, as for the pit windows today, well, the pit window opens between the 24th and the 29th minute for the cars in Group GTB, Group GTH and Group GTA. Those are the ones towards the tail end of the field in reality, the lesser powered cars. So that's when there are between 26 and 21 minutes remaining of the 50-minute race. And the second pit window opens, those for the front of the grid, GTO, GT3 and GTC, between the 29th and the 35th minute of the race, i.e. when there's between 21 minutes remaining and 15 minutes remaining of this race. So the slower cars pit first today because they pitted second yesterday, so they swap it round each day to equate the amount of driving time that each AM and each pro can have over the course of a race weekend. So here we go. The cars are about to turn their way out of Luffield and up towards Woodcote Corner, and we will shortly get our final race on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit underway. 32 cars remain at the end of the weekend, and round 18 of the 2022 GT Cup Championship here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit is about to get underway. Steve Burgess should lead the charge towards Cops Corner because we know his Group GTO Radical is so quick in a straight line, and already he's able to sweep his way into the lead of the race with Simon Orange in second place and Hugo Cook looking for third position. A couple of cars towards the tail end of the field just running wide, but I think we have got everybody through the first corner at least as the pack charge their way through Maggots and Beckett's for the first time, as expected by both of us. Sam, Steve Burgess in the Group GTO Radical leads the way.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of contact between Steve Burgess and Simon Orange actually under the brakes at Cops Corner, so hopefully there's no risk of a puncture there. And they're all being very clean actually, so which is really nice to see. I thought I was going to be contradicted then by the 77 car as Ian Logie tried to make a move down inside of Mike Price. I said he'd be charging through, and he really is, so I'm sure we'll see Ian trying to put the pressure on Hugo Cook and maybe even trying to get into a race winning position. Yeah, that's Mercedes past Mercedes, but it's that teammates as well, so that is Ian Logie in the pink and blue Ram Racing car going through and ahead of his Ram Racing teammate Mike Price. Ian Logie will drive solo, Mike Price will hand the car over to Callum McLeod. So in reality, Logie will remain stationary for about an extra 5 seconds compared to the car that he's just worked his way through and past, because he is a solo driver but has success seconds. The car he's gone past has a pro but doesn't. Somebody going very slow. That was the Group GTB McLaren of Neil Garnham there. That was very slow, wasn't it, heading in towards the Vale and up towards Club. Yeah, we know these Pirelli tyres, they are a bit susceptible to punches, but he's getting... Is it crabbing? It is crabbing. That is possibly a right rear puncher.
Yeah, there's something not right,
You need
isn't
to be
there?
very careful with that when you're driving. There's a lot of debris on track, as you see, so that could be the cause of this puncture that I might be talking about. I could be completely wrong, but I think it is a right rear puncture.
That looked like a dive plane, wasn't it, that was being picked up from one of our marshals up at Stowe Corner. As it's the first lap, there's plenty of space in the traffic for him to go and grab that and retrieve it and get it out of harm's way. What you don't want to be doing is running over carbon fibre and breaking into lots of pieces when you're on slick tyres, because not only will it cause you a problem, but it will fragment and cause everybody else behind problems. So sensible thing, can't quite as yet spot which car it might have come off.
Carbon fibre is extremely sharp when you hit it, and it sort of splits, so it's so easy to cause punctures. So it's great the marshal get out there and get it cleared so they can carry on this green flag racing. But hopefully we can work out who actually hit who and what caused what issue.
So Steve Burgess leads by 0.6 of a second at the end of the first lap of the race from Simon Orange in second place. Hugo Cook's there in third. There is that McLaren, all of the tyres look inflated. It's the right rear toe link, is it?
Yeah,
They just seem to be moving
link.
around.
It must be, as you see the Ginetta smoking a lot. So is that from some there seems to be some...
That had contact in the previous race, didn't it, with one of the Formula Woman McLarens. So it looks more like it's coming out the exhaust rather than it being tyre rub, actually.
Yeah, obviously it had that left rear damage, so you can see the tape on there, and that seems to be where the smoke is coming from. So I'm sure we'll work out what it is in the next few minutes, and if something will fail.
Yeah, into the pit lane comes the car that we mentioned, which is the Group GTB, Matt LeBrenton and Neil Garnham McLaren. But looking at what that car was doing, I suspect that might be it for it. They're playing around with the front wheels on it, as though there might have been a bash on the front, but that car in its sort of Batman Joker livery into the pit lane, and I'm afraid I suspect that's probably it for the race. Do you think, Sam?
Yeah, they don't seem to be rushing to fix anything, so I don't think they actually know yet. But what I have noticed is I think Steve Burgess, I thought he'd get a bigger gap on lap one, which was sort of his saving grace in the other races. So he's not got that gap this time. As you see Simon Orange just get a great run down inside, but the Radicals should keep this on power.
Should keep it on power and go through. We do know, though, we're talking to Steve Burgess over the course of the lunch break, his issue yesterday when he lost the lead of the race and the car faltered and he fired it back up, was a fuel issue, and they haven't fully solved it. So I think there's an issue with the pump, which is meaning that he is getting a bit of fuel starvation or isn't able to get full power. The Ginetta's slowing up, so I think it does look as though they have realised Paul Maxfield that all is not well with that Ginetta, and all is definitely not well with the number 71 Neil Garnham driven McLaren. That looks as though that is without question now a retirement. So they're still looking around. It is that right rear corner they're looking around, which we saw moving around and thought it might be the toe link.
Exactly. I think usually when a tyre's sort of in that direction, it is the toe link that's gone, and that's not a quick fix. It can be maybe 10-minute quick fix, but not to get back out in a race with all the setup and tracking it.
No,
so
if it's a 3-hour, a 5-hour, a 6-hour race, you do it. When it's
exactly.
a 50-minute race, it's just not worth it, is it?
Yeah, so I think that's game over for them. But Simon Orange, again, I always talk about it, you have to be behind and sort of eye up your move. He knows it's quick in a straight line, but he also knows he has the traction when he sort of uses it in the left field sort of corners, so he has to sort of eye off his move and not be too aggressive to try and find it.
You know, we talk about Ian Loggy being a fantastic am and one of the best ams in the country, because, you know, we know he does a lot of racing, both at this and at higher level in GT cars, including international level, but Simon Orange, staggering performance.
Simon Orange has took this McLaren like a duck to water, really.
Yeah.
He's been incredible. All season, even from the first round, he sort of had this car nailed, which is obviously, that's massive thanks to JMH and also Michael O'Brien's coaching. So, you can't fault them, but yeah, he's doing a really good job.
He's doing a fantastic job, yeah. And of course, they're right up there in terms of the sharp end of the championship. The two Paddock Motorsport McLarens have got themselves together by the look of things. The number 25 Korakavi Jundu fighting away with Tomo Shahan. Those two drivers have come on in leaps and bounds since the beginning of the season. And there is going to be a car that's slowed up. That's Leo Lucas, wasn't it? Now, was that another mistake going into the Vale? He's about to get overtaken, if he's not careful, by the indecently quick BMW 1 Series of Tom Barrow. Might look like a 1 Series, but it certainly goes nothing like a 1 Series. It's a rocket ship, isn't it?
It sounds incredible, that BMW. Every time you hear it go fast, I think it's got a V10 in it.
It is V10, yeah.
So it's an awesome sound, and it just reminds you back to the old F1 cars, and it goes fast. You think, what is racing out there? And it is an incredible car.
And that's the thing, you look at GT Cup, we've got these GT3 and GT4 homologated cars, we've got the Super Trofeo spec cars or the Cup spec cars, but it doesn't mean that you can't come out in something that you've built yourself, you've developed yourself, and built into a very, very competitive race car.
Precisely, we always see Richard Chamberlain bring his Porsche out, which sometimes doesn't work the best, sometimes there's a few issues, but that is a great thing about GT Cup. They have these classes that aren't just a homologated series, so it allows you to hear these different engine noises. I've always been a V8 man myself. rather than the high pitch screaming V10s. But I do love the sound of that, as we see the JMH Ginetta sort of going back into the pits. So I think that is game over for them.
Yeah, I think we've lost a couple, haven't we? So the clock ticking down. This is the battle for the lead of the race. We're talking about Simon Orange and how good he's done, but Hugo Cook has just set the fastest lap of the race, and the number 66 Mercedes is in full attack mode as they head through Stowe Corner. 2 minutes 2.168 from Hugo Cook, who is still, I would argue, getting to grips with the Mercedes. He's not done a great deal of racing in it, but he picks off Simon Orange round through Stowe Corner rather effortlessly. Now, makes me wonder, did Simon Orange let him go there? Because Simon Orange will be well aware the car that's leading the race, Steve Burgess, is not going to score full championship points because there's not enough entrants in Group GTO, and the car that he's just lost the place to, Hugo Cook, is non-championship scoring. So why get involved in a battle you don't need?
Yeah, we know what Simon Orange is like as well. We know he can be quite an aggressive driver, as we've seen earlier on in the season. So for him not to defend a position, I think he's definitely thinking about this title fight. We see the Paddock Motorsport cars having a battle. This is brilliant, but everyone knows the golden rule of racing is do not hit your teammate. So hopefully we don't see these two karting each other. But it's always good to see two cars in the same team battle each other, because then it is just which driver is better. Exact same setup most of the time, exact same tyres. So this is all about who is better.
And they'll also need to be watching their mirrors as well, the pair of them, because James Wallace is not too far away at the wheel of the Beluga Racing Porsche, and he's trying to jink out from behind the second of the two Paddock Motorsport cars to see whether he can squeeze his way through. He couldn't quite do it, so Kavi Jundu chops across the nose of James Wallace, who, remember, is the overall championship leading car, the number 50 Porsche coming into this weekend. They've not really had the best of luck or the results that they wanted this weekend. Talking to James Wallace yesterday, he wanted a win. Now, is that the number 69 or the number 96 car? It could be John Curry.
I think it's John Curry. Oh, no, I'm wrong. It's 69, so it's Stephen Walton?
Stephen Walton started that one, yeah.
Oh, that's not a good spot to be in.
It's not. He needs to back that car up to avoid going in the gravel, but he's right in the firing line for the exit of the corner, isn't he?
Yeah, it's quite hard to reach reverse in these Mercedes. They have because it is a sequential gearbox, it's not really like an automatic like the McLaren, so it's not a gear that they usually want to be in. As he has got it in reverse, yeah, he just has to drive forward and get out of the way now. But you can see the tyre marks. It looks like he's just looped it around the exit of Vale, just been getting on the power too quickly.
The one good thing is we've seen a lot of cars over the years loop it round at Vale, and because it's fired him over the other side, they've ended up with a very hefty impact into the wall, and thankfully the car's in one piece.
Yeah, exactly. So he can get going, and John Curry seems to have damage. He had a...
Well, maybe he hasn't got it in one piece, no.
No, so that's a 96, so that's the other car.
That's the opposite car,
so
yeah.
have they possibly...
Let's hope not.
Have they broken the golden rule that I was telling you about?
Don't go there, Sam.
Hopefully not, hopefully not, fingers crossed.
Here is the light blue Lamborghini of Tom Webb. Now that is the car that is second in Group GTC at the moment, because Tom Barrow's BMW is just up the road from it. Who's leading Group GTC? No, it's Lucky Kira who's leading Group GTC. I'm going to say Tom Barrow's BMW is a Group GTB car. So yeah, the light blue Lamborghini is there in the hands of Tom Webb. That there is the car that leads Group GTB, the rather fast BMW. But back to the lead of the race, Steve Burgess under pressure now. Hugo Cook in second place, set the fastest lap of the race last time through. 2 minutes 1.948 is the fastest lap of the race. He brought the gap down to almost a second, not far off. And these two cars are now going to start to catch that little bit of traffic. The recovering number 69 car in the hands of Stephen Walton, without damage, is the first of the cars that's going to go off the lead lap. And there's a spin for Ian Campbell. That looks as though, is that coming out of Luffield?
That is coming out of Luffield. So that's another interesting place to spin, because it was that late on in the corner. It won't be somewhere that I think you'd spin, especially in these GT3 cars with all the sort of age you have with the TC and all the different settings. So it's a weird spin, not somewhere you'd usually see.
Yeah, Ian, beginning of the season was absolutely fantastic. Last couple of races, it's just been every now and again there's been a little small mistake in him, which is very unlike Ian Campbell. So whether now he's sort of finding the limit of the car and hasn't quite been able to dial it back from it. And there, I'm afraid it's another retirement for the Par Racing with Caffeine 6 Porsche, Tim Kresick. Now, is that because of a problem from early on? And also, Andre Borodin going very slowly there on the exit of Luffield corner. Might there be something down on the track there, and that's just caught a couple of cars out?
I'm not sure at all. It's I think you'd see everyone spin into something down, so it's not normal. It could just be a coincidence that they've all spun. All they were wanting to get an early dash and go home early, so who knows what it is really.
Toms have changed places as well, because Webb has now, at the wheel of number 13 Lamborghini, gone ahead of Barrow, who still leads Group GTB at the wheel of the V10 engined BMW 1 Series. But Tom Barrow now is coming under pressure from the next of the cars. Flashing his lights is Jensen Lund, trying to put in another good performance for Top Cats Racing with Hex.com. It does look as though there is definitely something down there on that tarmac. You look closely, there's something there, I think, and that is just affecting a few of the cars. There's 3 or 4 cars that have skittered around sideways to a degree there, and some of them been caught out. I've also seen, I think, one of the Formula 1 cars come into the pit lane as well on that lap, but I'm afraid to say that's Steph Saw, the number 65 car that's entered pit lane.
Yeah, so that, who knows what that could be. That could have been usually there's something down, it's usually radiator coolant as someone else has spun, but that's at turn 1.
That's Ron Trenker, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's got to be something on track somewhere, because everyone seems to be struggling. So yeah, it's a weird one seeing all this. There's a lot of damage on that.
That was from Friday.
Okay.
That was down the side on Friday. There was a brake issue when John Lancaster was driving the car, and I think that was the problem. So maybe. And another big spin for the Group GTC car that was in second place, which is Tom Webb. There must be something out on track. We know there's something at Luffield for sure, but that was coming out of Aintree, and that was a long way out of Aintree where the car just swapped ends.
That was something down on track 100%. There's something also stuck in the front of that Radical I just saw, but there's definitely something down on track. Everyone's just, it was a very weird spin.
The Ginetta was smoky.
It was smoky, but it was very early on in the race, so I don't think, if it was that, I think it was too early on. I think it could be maybe someone's contact, maybe the John Curry car with the front end damage and the radiator.
Yeah, radiator could be coolant. Yeah.
So it could be the coolant from that. So who knows? I'm sure we'll find out soon. But everyone just has to try and keep on the track right now and not cause any damage.
The difficulty is, Sam, is that traction was at a premium earlier on when it was wet and you were on slicks. However, when it's coolant or something down and you can't see it, you can't really react to it, and that's the problem, is it just catches you out. And there we go again. That's Philip Carter again coming out of Luffield, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than coolant on a track with slicks. It is like driving on ice. As we see Hugo Cook make the move down inside, but Steve Burgess has got the run again. I think this coolant will be hindering Hugo a lot, because that's where he's been getting traction down the most, is Luffield. So they all have to be really careful at this point, but coolant down it's so risky.
So from what we were hearing, the train of liquid or fluid goes all the way in towards pit lane, so whoever it is no longer circulating. So it allows us to work out a few of the cars that have come into pit lane. Maybe it is, as you suggested, that number 96 car, because that did come into pit lane with front damage. So I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there, Sam.
I think I could be Sherlock, really, to be honest. That's Luffield again. So these drivers, they you can see it actually just picked up then. So I think that's a bit of coolant, he just lifted up then. So it seems to be offline, but you make one mistake and it puts you straight on it, and that you've got no control of these cars.
So hats off for those that are dealing with this very slippery Silverstone circuit at the moment, including this man here, Tom Barrow, who still continues to lead Group GTB and also still continuing to lead both Group GTO and Group GT3 are the two cars that are squabbling for the lead of the race. The white Radical of Steve Burgess still under pressure from Hugo Cook that lies behind. Mike Price has had another off by the look of things. That looks like that was on the exit of Copse Corner.
It does look like the exit of Copse Corner, which is, everyone's having these moments and I can't really explain what I think they are. I'm just guessing, but no, it just seems to be very slippy at the minute. He's going wide again, so does he have an issue, a big one?
I think he's trying to stay out of the way. I think there's a problem for Mike Price and Callum McLeod, who've had such a good run of form recently, but now we've got 3 for the lead of the race as Simon Orange tries to attack Hugo Cook. They try and weave their way past Philip Carter's Greystone McLaren, which chops across the nose of Simon Orange and just releases Steve Burgess into a slightly handier advantage for the lead of the race. But now they've dealt with that traffic, Hugo Cook is trying to come from a very long way back up the inside of Simon Orange. Your intake of breath was the same as mine there, Sam.
Yeah, I thought that was very late to make the move there, and it proved to be. So I'm glad they both made out of that. And now as it's Simon Orange now trying to attack Steve. I think Simon went, I'll let you pass, I'll let you have your go, but move along, it's my go now.
And there we can see the change of surface flag, as it means. It doesn't mean it's an oil flag, it's referred to as the oil flag, but it means change of surface. So they use that when there's debris on the track, they use it when there's coolant, it could be water, it could be oil. So change of surface flag being shown by the marshals. The yellow flag with the red stripe, but I think most of the drivers now, if they haven't already worked it out or had a spin, they'll know about it now for sure.
Yeah, I hate seeing that flag. I think it's one of the worst flags you can see because you just don't know what it is.
It could be gravel, couldn't it?
It could be
Huge
anything
amounts
on
of gravel,
track.
yeah.
So, you always got a little bit cautious. And as you've seen, not everyone's hitting this coolant. So you sort of might think you know what it is, and then you hit the coolant and that's it. So, yeah, I despise that flag.
When it's a big engine failure and you've got that huge line of oil, it's easy because you can see it.
Yeah.
You stay off it.
Exactly, but a little trickle here and there, it's it's very sketchy.
Here we go, a good run coming out of Chapel for Simon Orange, but that's not going to wash with Steve Burgess because the Group GTO Radical we know is so quick in the straight line, might not have the fantastic aero of the GT3 cars, but he pulls away just enough in a straight line so that then the little piece of elastic between the pair of them closes up again as they head through the twiddly parts, and that's where they're heading now, into the heavy braking area for the Vale. So Simon Orange will look to see what he might be able to do. Flick left at the Vale, flick right at Club, the double apex right-hander now that brings them onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, and there we can see, yeah, that's a lot of fluid that the marshals are dealing with in the pit lane. It'd be a similar amount of fluid that's out there on track.
Yeah, they have to warn the drivers of that as well coming into the pit lane. It's there's oil down the pit lane and you're coming in at 50 km/h ready to slam on. It can be really dangerous, so they have to be careful about that. As you see, Simon Orange go down the inside, and that's Mike Price making it back to bits, and he's made it down the inside. Hugo Cook's also going to try and go around the outside now, so will that pay off? I doubt Hugo Cook will be able to keep this as well, but I think that Simon Orange, that's a done move.
Done move for Simon Orange. Yeah, he picked up second place from Hugo Cook a few laps ago. He now picks up the lead of the race from Steve Burgess. Is he going to be able to hang on to it though by the time they get towards the bottom of the Wellington straight? Steve Burgess is trying to fight back as well. He's not happy that he's just been passed by the Group GT3 Mercedes, but Steve Burgess still continues to lead Group GTO, and by virtue of the fact, unfortunately, with retirements and cars falling by the wayside over the weekend, he is the only entrant in that group, so as a result of that, he's not going to pick up full championship points, and there's the rather forlorn sight of the Ram Racing Mercedes. So we started the race with 2 Ram Racing Mercedes, it's now down to 1 as Mike Price parks the car.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what that actually is, because I couldn't see any physical damage on the car. As we see, the more trying to pass this GT4 car, and Steve Burgess going left and right and left and right. He's going to really try and make this move again on Hugo Cook.
Yeah, I mean, this 11 car started the day with problems because it stopped out on track during the free practice session and didn't set a lap in qualifying, so had to start the sprint race off the back. So whether it's related to those issues from earlier on in the day or not, I simply do not know. We've still got a few minutes before the first pit window opens, so about 6 minutes away before we see the cars in Group GTB, Group GTH and Group GTA head towards the pit lane as Steve Burgess tries to attack Hugo Cook to slot himself back into second. Hugo Cook, just got across the nose of the Radical, but you would not want your finger between those 2 cars at that point, would you?
Not at all, not at all. I think you might lose a hand if you put your hand in there, so that was definitely very close. Steve's not going to let this one go. He's really trying to get past Hugo because he knows his only chance to try and win this race is to get in front of these and then pull out a gap in the pit window. But we'll see what happens in the pit window.
Yeah, so Simon Orange, the former overall champion in GT Cup from 2020 when he was racing for Team Hard in a Ginetta, scooped up the overall championship that season with Josh Jackson, partnered up with Michael O'Brien for this year, and potentially could be one of a very few drivers, if any at all, that have scored double overall championships in GT Cup. I'm not sure we've ever had a double champion.
No,
I have to look back through the history books.
I don't think so at all. We're definitely not doing it this year.
No, you're not going to do it.
So yeah, he could be the first double champion, which would be brilliant for them too. They're both amazing drivers, both really nice guys.
We've had double champions in group, but not double champions overall, I don't think. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully they can take that.
That's one for the media team to confirm for us.
Definitely.
So we'll pass the book on that one. So there goes the number 50 Veluga Motorsport Porsche, still pressing on in the hands of James Wallace, and that is the car that leads Group GTH at the moment. He was third in the group, wasn't he, when we were looking earlier on, because he was behind the 2 Paddock Motorsport McLarens, but James Wallace doing what James Wallace has done all season, really. You know, the most competitive group that we've got, the largest number of entries across all of the categories, and they just seem to have had the pace all year, himself and Sam Lay and Locknam.
He's done really well. Every round you look at, he has been up there in the top 3 every single race, so you can't fault them at all. You know, if they're going to win GTH, they're definitely valid winners of the championship.
And I think and I've said this a few times in commentary, what amazes me, you know, he's come out of Fiesta Juniors, not particularly a powerful car, running on a road tyre, into a GT car, running on slicks. He's 16 years of age. You know, I know what I was like at 16. He's so mature, he's so intelligent, he's got a very good head on his shoulders. He could go a long way, that young man.
Definitely. He's picked up this, like as I said, like a duck to water before. I used the same saying, but no, he's definitely picked up these GT cars. But I think when you get used to a lower powered car, when you jump into something with a little bit more horsepower and you're used to carrying that speed, that's all GT cars are. It's all about carrying this momentum. Even a GT3 with its aero, it's all about just carrying momentum in every single corner. So if you can pick up that in a slower car, as soon as you move into a faster powered car, it definitely transfers.
They're now getting into the traffic, aren't they, all of the time, corner by corner, lap by lap. There's more traffic for everybody to deal with. Simon Orange is still leading by not much more than half a second at the beginning of this lap from Hugo Cook. Now Simon Orange will hand over to Michael O'Brien. They'll remain stationary in the pit lane for 90 seconds come the pit window, which is a while away for them yet. Hugo Cook, when he gives way to Marcus Clutton, they'll have an extra 5 seconds in the pit lane, so that should increase the gap between McLaren and Mercedes. But Steve Burgess will stop for 80 seconds, so he'll stop less than the 2 cars ahead of him. So it'll be really interesting to see how that pans out. But their pit window won't open for at least another 6 minutes yet at this stage, and the first pit window is now only 90 seconds away from opening. Good to see, as you just spotted there, Neil Garnham back in the race. Whatever the problem was, they fixed it.
I said it was a 10-minute fix, didn't I? And I think it's been maybe 10 minutes, so I definitely got that one right. So, you know, they've just maybe bolted on apart and sent it, so hopefully the car is straight, and just make sure it's working okay, and then put it in the truck, happy days, give it a polish, and then send it out the next race.
And where does it come back out to track? Right ahead of the race leader, but stays out of harm's way. So our race leader, Simon Orange, just about to thread his way through past Temeh Shahan. So the Paddock Motorsport McLaren stays out of harm's way. Just up the road from it, you can see the number 50 Veluga Porsche. That is the car that leads Group GTH at the moment. Second in Group GTH is the McLaren that has just been picked off by the race leader, and this is a squabble for position. This is going to be the number 76 car of Leah Lucas fighting away with Graham Tilley. Now that's a change of order because Graham Tilley was ahead of that McLaren on the previous lap. He's behind it this time through.
Yeah, we saw that McLaren going a little bit slow at the start of the race, so he's done a nice comeback to get back, and I believe this is his first race in the McLaren, isn't it? So I think he has a lot to learn in this car, and he's definitely getting faster.
Yeah, he's a driver that has done a bit of racing in the past, not huge amounts of racing in these sort of powerful cars, but he's been going well, really. We've seen him out in the 24-hour series previously, and of course his wife Rhea was on the grid as well this weekend.
Yeah, so it's the 24-hour series is actually a great series to try and learn a car. You know, 24 hours of racing.
A lot of seat time.
Exactly, that's all it's about. And learning these GT3 cars, it is seat time. They're so important, and they're actually a lot more technical than you believe. There's a lot of points where you don't want to be in the ABS, or you do want to be in the ABS or the TC, which can cost you tenths here and there. So it's they are very technical, and you're actually almost like a computer wizard. The pro drivers who drive these cars, they're you always have to be sort of a very techie man as well to be quick in one of these.
The Tom Webb Lamborghini fighting away with the Ferrari, but there is a lap between the pair of them. The pit window is now open, so first in is David Franklin, former Radical racer, to hand over to the Brazilian driver Adriano Medeiros. What have you got, Sam?
I just noticed that the oil stopped at Make Happen Racing, so I think that was the 96 car that caused all that oil down, so maybe it was from the front radiator.
Into the pit lane comes the car that was leading Group GTH, which is James Wallace, so that is now going to put Temeh Shahan at the wheel of the number 26 Paddock Motorsport McLaren up into the lead of the race. We are looking at our race leader, so there is the former Group GTH leading car. That leads the championship overall, so Sam Mayer-Loughnane about to jump inside that car. Hopefully he's feeling slightly better today, because if you didn't tune into the footage yesterday, Sam is a stunt driver. He's got a broken finger and a broken jaw in 4 places following a stunt which didn't quite go to plan, so he's feeling a bit under the weather, wasn't he, at the beginning of the weekend?
It all depends. I think it all affects. Depends what finger it is, which is affected. You know, with the pinky, I think he's whinging a little bit.
It wasn't his pinky.
Okay,
no,
well,
no.
maybe it's a more serious one. It can affect your gear changes a little bit.
Yeah, it was the those 2 fingers on his left hand. So what was it? His I got to
his
count
middle
now.
finger.
His middle finger and the one next to it towards the pinky.
Okay.
I don't know what they're called, Sam.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could see us moving our hands inside this commentary box, so I don't think we're any help for anyone. But yeah, and a broken jaw. Hopefully he won't have to talk on the radio that much.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he was feeling under the weather, but it didn't really affect his performance. This is the car that is leading Group GTC. Lucky Kira, who regularly races a Ferrari, but had braking problems yesterday. Jensen Lum at the wheel of the Soul Tomcats Racing with Hex.com Lamborghini is currently running second in the group at this stage. It's just 5 seconds off the group lead.
By braking points, do you mean like braking parts in the rear wing, or do you mean the actual brakes? Because we saw the rear wing fall off that car yesterday.
It was a mixture of the two, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was brakes on the Ferrari, but then braking parts on the Lamborghini yesterday.
Exactly. So it's nice to see them actually have a rear wing on this time, and hopefully I spoke to David after and he said it was one of the scariest stints he's done in his life, so hopefully he can have a bit more of a calmer race and come home with that P1.
Yeah, if you didn't tune in yesterday, the rear wing failed on the Lamborghini. It was hanging down on one side, and it was given the black and orange flag just as the pit window opened. So what they did was, in the pit window, take the rear wing off, which is fine in a straight line because the car will go like a rocket ship. However, through Cops, through Maggotts and Beckett's, through Abbey, that would have been a scary old car to drive. Ewan Hankey jumps on board the number 77 car, so it's about another minute and a bit away. So 21 minutes to go is when the pit window opens for the cars at the sharp end of the order, so they will still continue round for this lap, and I would imagine probably one more thereafter. But for the lead of the race, Simon Orange looks in his mirrors. Hugo Cook is right there, who I didn't know a great deal about other than his exploits in TCR really before this weekend, but obviously he's driven this Mercedes before. Impressive young man.
Definitely, he's picking up this Merc very quickly, and you can see over the weekend he has got faster and faster, which is great to see. You know, it's always, you get to a point and then you sort of plateau. But obviously Marcus has done a great job of coaching him, and from what I heard, they're actually having a few issues with the rear axle of the car, which is why we saw Marcus having quite a few moments through Abbey yesterday. So you know, if Marcus's pace is not where it should be, I think that rear axle, they don't have the spare parts available to fix the car in Jura Motorsport.
Well, even more hats off for Hugo for dealing with that issue then, yeah, and still having the pace. So through Village and on towards the loop they will work their way. They're on their 14th lap at the moment. The gap between the pair of them was just 0.3 of a second, or just under that, as they came over the start-finish line last time through. Any oil or coolant that had been put down on the track has now a mixture of evaporated or been worked away by the tyres as the cars continue to circulate. So we are back to having, I would say, a decent circuit condition again at the moment, and the catalyst to that will be also to look at the kinds of times that the pros can do when they jump in these cars, because the pit window isn't quite open for those two cars as they come over the start-finish line. It opens with 21 minutes remaining. They went over the start-finish line with 21 minutes and a few seconds remaining, so they'll have to pit next time through.
Yeah, so a few of these cars that are a bit further back, maybe Graham Tilley could come in this lap and get Will Trigurtha in, so that can help you a couple of seconds. It can give you when a pro jumps in, but it's not big. It's not the end of the world.
No, I'll have to wait and see as to have we got any takers for the pit lane this time through. Ian Loggy has tended to wait until the back end of the pit window at the wheel of his Mercedes for most of the season. He will stop for 60 seconds plus 10 success seconds because of where he finished in the group yesterday, and that is a smoky BMW, is it not? That's Tom Barrow.
Yeah, but it looks like, is that a left rear that's smoking, or is it the exhaust?
Difficult to spot from there, wasn't it?
It is. I think that could be an exhaust, so hopefully he's not dropping any coolant, because that seems to be the story of this race.
Just oh no, that is coming out the exhaust, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is
it's actually coming out before the exhaust, I believe. Slightly before the exhaust.
Look at the rear arches on that thing. The one thing you won't want is for that to be dropping on the tyres. There'd be a quick indication if that were the case, but yeah, he's going to have to park that car, or at least get it looked at, the Saxon Motorsport BMW in the pit window.
It seems to be calming down a bit. It seems to be off power that it sort of builds up this sort of smoke. So yeah, they need to check that out and make sure it's not also dropping anything on track.
He's on an out lap, so he's done his pit stop, his mandatory pit stop. So that's going to drop him down through the order. He is the only entrant in Group GTB, so he'll still be leading the group. But at the moment, he's circulating in 13th place. Have his lap times dropped off? Yeah, by 3 seconds on the previous lap that he did before he came into the pits.
Yeah. It seems to be that for everyone, though, actually. The track seems to slow down quite a bit. You know, you look at the best lap, which was a 2:01.9 from Hugo Cook. He's now doing 2:03s, so almost a second slower. So it'll be interesting to see what these pros can do in the jump in, if they can get into the sub 2 minutes that we saw yesterday. You know, I think we saw a 59.7 was the fastest lap yesterday, or a 59.3 from Michael O'Brien. So, you know, they're definitely a way off from what they can usually do.
Hugo Cook, is he coming into the pit lane? Yes, he is, as is Simon Orange. We already saw the number 76 Leo Lucas McLaren into the pit lane. He's handing over to 2007 British GT champion Bradley Ellis. Ollie Webb has just jumped on board the number 23 car, fresh from his fantastic honeymoon at Spa-Francorchamps last weekend when he was out there racing, having got married in Italy just a few days earlier. Andre Borodin is in. That's Ed Peed that's about to jump on board that particular McLaren, but in comes the race leader. Did he almost end up in the wrong pit there for a split second?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he gave that mechanic scared for his life then. But yeah, new tyres going on that car as well, which with only 18 minutes remaining, that's an expensive 18 minutes, I'd say. But obviously they want to win this race and to get the most championship points they can.
Yeah, so Walter Gerther, as you suggested, already out of pit lane. We just saw the Texurf Mercedes head back out in the hands of the former British GT champion from the GT4 category a few seasons ago. Team go to work on the McLaren. There's plenty of time, isn't there, to do this, because the number 67 McLaren has got 90 seconds stationary in the pit lane, more than enough time to swap the driver, change the tyres. Yeah, it feels like a lifetime when you're sat in the car. You get strapped in, you know, you're rushing to get in the car, you run to get in, and then you look at the time and you say, oh, 45 seconds are still left. You know, you don't know what to do, you twiddle your thumbs a little bit. Do you see that smoking again? But he doesn't seem to be bothered by it, so maybe it's just a normal thing for the V10 to smoke like this. Be an expensive repair, but I mean the V10 will hold a lot of oil if that's what it is, but we can't tell exactly where it's come from. And it doesn't seem to be dripping anything out onto track. We've not seen anybody affected by it at this stage. Maybe it's a nitrous button, like the Fast and Furious sort of thing. The way the cars go, that car goes, it wouldn't surprise you. It's a shame we don't see more of it, because it really is a fantastic car to see out there, and it howls its way around the circuit. So Bradley Ellis has now jumped on board the number 76 McLaren, car that we regularly see racing in the British GT Championship. Walter Gerther has now jumped on board the number 4 Mercedes. We also see him out racing a Bentley, don't we, in domestic GT racing. You thought the Mercedes sounded good, the Bentley sounds equally as good, does it not? And there goes Michael O'Brien, who heads out of the pit lane directly ahead of Marcus Clutton. So even though that McLaren should have stopped for 5 seconds less, they're going to be nose to tail coming out of the pit lane. Yeah, we should have seen what tyres Marcus Clutton's gone back onto, because you know, we saw Mike go onto the new tyres, so that could be the sort of deciding factor of this race. So you know, if he's not as quick, we can definitely tell it's not new tyres. David McDonald has now jumped on board the number 247 Lamborghini, but he was being hounded by Charlotte Birch, who's had a brilliant weekend at the wheel of that Lamborghini. Her strongest weekend, I would say, in GT Cup so far this season. Yeah, I went and actually spoke to Charlotte and just sort of said what an amazing job she's doing, and she said she finally thinks somebody's clicked inside the car. Brilliant. Which is really nice to see. So hopefully at the next round, Donington, hopefully we can see her still carry this momentum and be challenging for these GTC overall victories. Yeah, because I'm guessing she'll move over to the number 9 car for the rest of the season, with poor old Warren Gilbert still sort of recovering from his injuries following a testing incident yesterday. I'm sure he'll be tuning in. Get well soon again. We said it yesterday. Get well soon, Warren. Over towards the wing goes Michael O'Brien, with Marcus Clutton now having taken over the number 66 Mercedes that sits behind. Now, they are absolutely going to be working as hard as they possibly can to see whether there might be an opportunity. The difficulty is, you know, whilst the pros get on board the cars and go quickly, they're all so quick, it makes it very difficult to overtake, doesn't it? Because unless they make a mistake, which they don't because they're pros, how do you get through? You can't. That's the top and bottom of it. You just cannot pass. I remember being here, and I think I stuck behind a pro for an hour and a half. And you just stuck there. You cannot pass. It's impossible when you're both going to the same tenth of a lap time. You know, obviously there's strengths and weaknesses of each car, of each GT3 car and each GT4 car, GTH car, sorry. But you know, the strengths and weaknesses they're not big enough to make a pass, so you're sort of just trying to hound them into a mistake, which is why you see these drivers flashing their lights. But that never seems to work when you're the car in front. You just think what they're doing. And the only other thing you can do is use a back marker, maybe to try something different as you head in towards some traffic or something. There's nothing better than seeing a back marker when you're trying to pass someone. You just see it and it's like seeing a shining light on a cloudy day. So you just try and push the back marker. Sometimes you can move the back marker a little bit into the wrong place that you don't want them, just to try and sort of make it easier to pass. So definitely back markers are the easiest, whereas we just saw back markers in the background for Marcus Clutton and for Michael O'Brien, so it'll be interesting to see if that affected them
coming onto Hanger Straight.
Yeah, they're not actually fighting for the lead of the race though, because this man here, Ian Logie, is leading because he stopped for a shorter period of time. Ian Logie only had to stop for 70 seconds, whereas Simon Orange, giving way to Michael O'Brien, had to stop for 90. And of course, you've also got to factor in the fact that Steve Burgess only stopped for 80 at the wheel of the Radical, so that's why Ian Logie has picked up the lead of the race. Steve Burgess in the Radical is now up to second. Michael O'Brien and Marcus Clutton are fighting it out for third and fourth. Fifth is going to be Ollie Webb, who has jumped on board Ian Campbell's number 23 McLaren. Well, he had a spin, didn't he? So for that car to be fifth, that's not bad. And sixth at the moment, a car that has just got better and better throughout the course of this season. As they get used to it, Steve Ruston has given way to John Whitehouse. Yes, they only stopped for 60 seconds, but that car, number 44 for Paddock Motorsport, is now in the top six.
I always talk about that every weekend. I just think they are getting better and better in this car, which is thanks to Martin Plowman, who's obviously the team manager and the team owner of Paddock Motorsport, and he's coaching them. And obviously he drives the cars in another championship, and he's doing a really good job at coaching them.
And that is the only pure am combination that we have, isn't it? Two sporting drivers together in Group GT3, because anybody else that's a sporting driver drives solo, the likes of Ian Logie.
Yeah, exactly. But we know they're both quick, champions, overall champions. They were in 2019?
They won the championship in 2019, yeah. McLaren,
so
obviously
we know they're not slow hams at all, so they're doing a really good job, and it's nice to see them finally working out this GT3 car.
Will Jagurtha, who is outside of the top six though, at the wheel of the number 4 TechServe Mercedes, the red car with the day glow flashing, set the fastest lap of the race last time through, 2 minutes 1.782 from Will, so he is pushing hard at the wheel of that car, which of course claimed an overall podium in the hands of Graham Tilley, so that was the best result that car had so far this season. Now, Michael O'Brien was under pressure from Marcus Clutton, wasn't he, for third and fourth position, but the Mercedes has dropped back a little bit, hasn't it, over the course of the last few laps. So on pure pace at the moment, so McLaren has got the legs.
This could be the new tyres I was talking about. Yeah. It could be that Marcus isn't on new tyres, or I could be doing Michael O'Brien a real injustice there. So whichever way I look at it, it's interesting to see, if Marcus wasn't on new tyres, how quick he is being, because, to match someone on new tyres is really impressive.
Into the pit lane, I'm not surprised, finally comes the Saxon Motorsport BMW, and not only is it on the air jacks, but they've got the dollies underneath it, which I'm afraid, Sam, tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the dollies go under, it's game over. So, that's the end of the race for them. They're looking in the boot, which could be exhaust, but I'm sure they'll find out what the issue is with that.
Yeah, such a shame, because it's been nice to see them back out in the championship. Hopefully it won't be the last that we see of them so far this season. Bradley Ellis flashes his lights as he heads up towards the braking area for Stoke Corner. Behind him is Tom Webb. Now, Jim drove this car yesterday, his brother. He's been out cycling today and has had a bit of an off, I gather, so he's a bit battered and bruised today as well, so that's another driver we need to say, hope you're feeling all right, Jim. Get well soon.
Who would think cycling is more dangerous than racing, eh?
So that car's going well though, isn't it, in the hands of the Webbs. It's such a shame that it's got pace, but it had that off, didn't it, and that's been on the lubricant that was put down on track, and they lost a lap as a result of that.
Yeah, it is a shame. We've always seen the Webbs just never seem to have this look that that is so often needed in racing. You can have the pace, you can have everything, but if lady luck isn't on your side, it never really works in racing. So it's a shame to see that they are struggling on that side, which is never sort of in their hands.
They've been around for a good period of time. They're former champions in Group GTC and in Group GTB. They were former champions in the Sprint Cup as well. So they've been very successful in GT Cup racing. It's just a shame that we, again, for this year, haven't seen them for a full season. Hopefully they'll be back for a full season very, very shortly indeed. So we're fast approaching the final 10 minutes of this race. Our race leader, Ian Logie, flashes his lights as he carves his way past Charlotte Birch. The next car he's going to need to deal with is the Greystone GT McLaren in the hands of Ed Peed, who is back in the championship for this season. Ed, 3 times former runner-up in the Renault Clio UK Championship, amongst many other things. So good to see him back for this weekend. And for Group GTH, leading Group GTH now is Sam Mayer-Lachlan, who leads Group GTH. But look in your mirror, Sam, who's there? It's Tom Roach at the wheel of the Paddock Motorsport McLaren, and he's not going to go away, is he, the Welshman?
Not at all. This is going to be a great battle to the end. 9 minutes remaining. He's round 8, goes down the inside into Maggots and Beckett. That is a great move. Wow, that's a great move.
Brilliant stuff. Sam Mayer-Lachlan sort of realised that the inevitable was coming, and what you don't want when you're in their position leading the championship overall is an incident. So, you know, sometimes you got to drive with your head, haven't you, rather than your heart. It's points lost, but there's still points on the board, and you're still going to score well with second in the group.
Exactly, and that's probably what he's got in his head then. You know, Max and Beckett is not usually a place you see a car go down the inside, and when you do, it usually doesn't work out. So he probably thought, I'll just give this over a little bit and let him pass. Or we could be doing a massive injustice to the Paddock Motorsport car, who's just done a brilliant move down the inside. So whichever way you look at it, you know, both being very clever.
Yeah, so good racing from both of those, and let's see as to what Tom Roach can do for the remainder of this race. Thomas Jehan and Tom Roach were lying third in the Group GTH Championship standings coming into this weekend. Previously, they'd only had one group win. That came at Snetterton last time out, when Tom actually wasn't driving that weekend. He was busy, so the win that we saw in the sprint race earlier on for Tom was his first, I think, of this season. He could be on to put the Paddock Motorsport Prepared Car Chase Heroes backed number 26 car back onto the top step of the Group GTH podium. Be a solid weekend if he could, wouldn't it? Yeah,
it'd be really nice to see Paddock Motorsport definitely on the top again. So yeah, it'd be nice to see them on that top step. But I'd just like to quickly say how well Ian Logie has done. If you look at the lap times, his best lap time is only 3/10 slower than Marcus Cutton. So massive hats off to Ian. You know, it's not easy to be that close to a pro. So it seems like he's found his fire again, and obviously leading this race by 6.4 seconds. So hopefully, with fingers crossed, hopefully I didn't give him the commentator's curse. This is a win for Ian Logie.
Yeah, the Ram Racing team looking on. You can just see in the background there Mike Price, who sadly had to retire early on. He's looking at the screen, will be still cheering on his mate from the other side of the garage, Ian Logie, who will desperately want to try and get back to winning ways, because yeah, he just had an off day yesterday. Really don't know what it was. I haven't spoken to Ian since first arriving at the circuit on sort of Friday or Saturday, so it's just one of those days where he wasn't slow, but he wasn't on the pace either.
No, I also haven't spoken to Ian, so I'm not really sure what that could have been, but you do sometimes just have these off days, and you know, Ian's doing that much driving, possibly he's just getting a little bit tired.
Could be burnt out.
Exactly,
yeah.
Maybe he needed a good night's sleep, and he's back to his old ways, so it's nice to see him pushing this hard, and you know, hopefully, but Michael O'Brien is only 6.4 behind, and he is lapping 2 seconds a lap faster.
Yeah.
So hopefully this could be his race, but you know, I could have given him the curse, as I just said.
Yeah, here comes Michael O'Brien. You can see him in the distance. He's not the car first behind Ian Logie, because that's the blue and yellow Greystone McLaren of Ed Peed. That's the first of those cars behind Ian Logie. It's the second of the cars behind Ian Logie, the blue and orange McLaren. That's the car that is in second place, Michael O'Brien, and has set the fastest lap of the race with a 2 minutes 0.255. That's the last 2 laps on the trot, or 3 laps on the trot, isn't it? That Michael O'Brien has posted the fastest lap that we've seen so far in the race.
Yeah, we're seeing the fuel coming out of these cars now, and obviously we saw the new tyres going to Michael, which he's lost that new tyre hit that we all talk about. You know, you get this 1 or 2 laps of this extra bit of grip that it's elusive and it's really hard to try and find, but he's lost that now, but as the weight comes out the car, it just comes alive again. So it's nice to see him on this pace, but for Ian, this is horrible. He's hearing it they're probably in the headset of Ian saying, you know, 6 second gap, 4 second gap, and he'll be down to 2 seconds by the end of this lap. So, you know, Ian's going to have a bit of fire in him. He's got possibly 3 laps left, so if you can defend, it's going to be a great win for them.
Yeah, Michael O'Brien, what he's got to do first, though, is catch and then try and pass Ed Peed. Ed Peed, in the meantime, is trying to work his way past the Group GTB McLaren of Matt LeBreton, and Ed Peed was compromised there, heading through the back mark, which should make it much, much easier now for Michael O'Brien to pick him off. He was well aware also he was going to be lapped, and he's a pro driver, so did the right thing there, stayed out of the way. They are non-championship scoring in that car, himself and Andre Borodin, because they're not in for the full season. So Michael O'Brien will be pleased with the way that went, passing the back marker and putting a lap on Ed Peed. And now he'll be able to see the target up the road, and that's what you need, isn't it? You need to be able to see the hare that you're chasing if you're the greyhound.
Exactly, there's nothing better than when you finally see the car you've been chasing. You have your engineer in your ear usually going, 20 second gap, and you think, 20 seconds, I cannot see him, and then once it gets down to about 10 seconds, there's nothing better than hearing it and then seeing the car. It's amazing, but sometimes as Ian Logie, you know, they'll be counting down the seconds to Michael O'Brien. And sometimes you have it with your engineer and he tells you he's only 2/10 off you. It's like, I can see him in the mirror. I know where he is. Just leave me alone.
Like
so
a Kimi Raikkonen response back to the engineer. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. We all know if you watch Formula One and have watched it over the years. So Ian Logie continues to lead the way. This car, the number 26 car of Tom Roach, has picked up the lead for himself and Tumesh Jahan, the lead of Group GTH, and has pulled away, hasn't he, from the car that was leading it. So that will please the Paddock Motorsport crew, who are gazing at the timing screens there.
Yeah,
What did you spot?
I was just going to say it's really nice to see Martin Plowman there. I think it is. I could have got his name wrong then. I feel really bad. But it's nice to see him watching the screen and seeing his car at P1. They're a really nice team, Paddock, and it's nice to see them having such a great day today.
It is, yeah. They've had a fantastic day so far today. And they're a nice, friendly team, isn't it? Co-founded by Martin Plowman and Kelvin Fletcher, who I haven't seen here this weekend. Kelvin, I assume he's busy working again at the moment.
I think that is the story of Kelvin Fletcher, to be honest. I think he's back out again soon in the other championships that we race in, so be nice to see him out again. But yeah, he sounds like a busy man at the minute.
Busy man, yeah, with his acting career, and I think on stage down in London, I think doing a show at the moment is Kelvin Fletcher. So himself and Martin Plowman set up this team, and they've done so well, bringing in customers from other teams and working with them, not just in this championship, but also in the other GT championships that we have in the UK, and in things like Mazdas and other things as well. So they're a busy old team, Paddock Motorsports. But for Ian Logie, the clock is ticking down. He's not got many more laps to go, and all he needs to do is just make sure that he maintains the gap now between himself and Michael O'Brien. And I think someone's been on the team radio, Sam, because the last lap from Ian Logie, his best lap of the race so far. Not the best lap, but his best lap, which means the gap came down to 4.4 seconds.
However, Michael O'Brien has just done 2 purple sectors, so I think they've both got an answer to each other. Obviously 2 laps remaining, so a 59.9 from Michael O'Brien. So that's about 2 seconds a lap faster. So this gap's coming down quickly. It's 2.5 seconds now. So for Ian, he just has to ignore his mirrors and just try and push on. But I think the final lap, I think Michael will be right on him. So it could be a last lap move, which I'm really excited for.
Michael O'Brien is pushing hard, but he ought to be able to push a little bit harder, because it was 0.2 of a second quicker, and the lead of Group GTH has been, second in Group GTH was about to be decided there, because Sam Mayer-Lochnan was coming under pressure, wasn't he, from former champion Adam Hadfield. Is he going to squeeze his way through?
I don't think that broken finger is affecting him here. And he's got it. Oh, sorry, I switched it.
Oh, that's so... there you go, he leaps over the sausage curve. So, again, Sam Mayer-Lochnan probably not wanting to get overly involved. But what it does now do, as it did in the sprint race earlier on in Group GTH, it potentially gives Paddock Motorsport a 1-2 in the group again.
Which is brilliant to see. I'm so happy for them. I can't wait to see it. So hopefully 2 laps remaining for them. Just bring it home, boys. 1 and 2.
Yeah, they'll be as pleased as punch with that. And they'll also be reasonably pleased with the way that John Whitehouse and Steve Ruston had gone in this one. Yes, they stopped for a short period of time because they're 2 AMs, but against the pros, they're running 8th overall in the race in the GT3 number 44 Paddock Motorsport McLaren.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job in that car. As we said before, they're just learning the car and getting better and better. So it's nice to see both of them doing a really good job, as we see them on screen now. So, John and Steve both doing a really good job in that car, and just learning it every weekend.
And it must be tough when you're a pure AM combination. Fair play to John and Steve. They're not the youngest drivers out there as well, so your self-preservation kicks in that little bit more than it does at someone like your age, Sam. So, and they've got a new car to try and understand, working with a new team as well. So they've had pretty much everything to deal with, as Ian Logie is about to, again, work his way through a little bit of traffic. He'll be heading on to his last lap of the race, but he's lost the lead of the race because Michael O'Brien, through the traffic, has gone through. So Michael O'Brien has picked up the lead of the race whilst we were looking at the McLaren, and Ian Logie, who looked as though he had it all under control, has been unpicked.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of time that lap. I think in the middle sector he's lost almost 3 seconds, which is really interesting. I don't know where that has came from, so it must have been a back marker that sort of blocked him. But it's a real shame for Ian. I thought he was going to hold on to that one. But real shame. I think he has just been sort of held up by a back marker in that middle sector.
Or maybe it was the tyres just dropping off a little bit as well, because we know the McLaren had new tyres put on it. He's going to try and sneak his way up the inside of Adam Hadfield, who was having absolutely none of that at the wheel of his McLaren. And you can understand why, because he doesn't want to slow and compromise his run in towards Stowe Corner just by letting the race leader through, because he's only just picked up second in Group GTH, and he doesn't want to allow Sam Mayer-Lochnan to come back at him.
Exactly. It's always when you're in a GT3, you think you're the bigger car. I'll go down the inside, and you always get annoyed when someone blocks you. But when I drive a GT4 car, it's the opposite way around. I think you're not passing me, I'll block you. So it's two sides of the coin. Sometimes it works in your favour, sometimes it doesn't.
So the clock has ticked to 0. There goes Marcus Clutton fighting away. There in the background was the black Lamborghini. That is heading towards a winning Group GTC of Lucky Kerr and David MacDonald. So we look forward to hopefully seeing that car back on the top step of the podium. But for the final time along the Wellington Straights, we'll be seeing our race leader Michael O'Brien thread his way. And this is a good haul of points this weekend for Michael O'Brien and Simon Orange. I haven't done the maths as yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if they might have taken up the overall championship lead for their performance this weekend, because it has been mega stuff from the number 67 Orange Racing, powered by JMH McLaren pairing, and it is going to be Simon Orange who started this car and Michael O'Brien that are going to pick up top honours in round 18 of the 2022 GT Cup Championship. They come through to claim yet another win and keep their championship overall title hopes alive as we head towards the final 2 race meetings at Donington and Snetterton. Ian Logie finishes in second place, with Hugo Cook and Marcus Clutton having a solid weekend really in their first outing together in the GT Cup Championship. Steve Burgess should come through to finish in 4th place. Here comes the Radical now, and 5th position was Ian Campbell and Ollie Webb. 6th place was Leo Lucas and Bradley Ellis, and you looked at me, bits falling off a car there, were there?
yeah, I had no idea what that was. It looked like a little steering wheel, I thought, but it's obviously not. We both sort of had that shot look at each other, so I think someone's sort of glad they finally finished the race, seeing things like that falling off the car.
We're still waiting for the 6th place car of Leo Lucas and Bradley Ellis to come over the start finish line. There is the car that won Group GTH, so well done to Tomer Shahan and Tom Roach for making it back-to-back wins in that number 26 car. Tom won the sprint race earlier on, and they have now won their group again. Big smiles all round though, and that just goes to show what it means to Orange Racing, powered by JMH. Brilliant weekend of racing from them. Left it until quite late in the race to pick the pocket of Ian Logie, but that's not going to worry Simon Orange and Michael O'Brien. They pick up the points for the win and could be the championship leaders once we've done the maths.
Yeah, once we've done some maths, it won't be me doing the maths. I don't think that's my sort of forte.
Have you seen the spreadsheet for GT Cup? It's a complex one. There's Simon Orange. Big smiles all round for Simon Orange. Look at that. You can see he is as pleased as punch with that one. And it won't worry him that was an expensive 15 minutes to bolt those new tyres on, because they did what they wanted them to do.
Exactly. I did mention it being expensive, but if it's paid off, it's paid off. And he's definitely happy to spend that sort of money to win this race. So good points for haul for them. So hopefully for the title, that sort of helped them a lot.
Yeah, so what Michael O'Brien will also be doing now, driving all the way around the outside of the circuit. We can see lots of bits of rubber had been deposited on the track, and all he'll do is drive around the outer edges, get as much pickup as he can on those tyres as possible, because you can add a kilo if you're lucky, a couple of kilos maybe, just by heading offline, picking up all of that rubber, and when you head towards the weighbridge, that all counts because it's then part of the car, isn't it?
It's not also the weight though, you're also picking up the ride heights of the car. So these cars run so low that the FIA set a limit on the ride height, so that's also why it's picking up, because they are almost a millimetre above ride height. A millimetre, if you get a ruler, it's nothing.
Well, Will Dendy was disqualified yesterday for, what was it, rear ride height, I think. I think ideally he said I'd prefer more rake in the car.
Yeah.
But he failed by 1 millimetre, I think, yesterday.
Exactly. So they are able to measure these 1 millimetre gaps. So they're picking up, and that piece of rubber is a good solid maybe 10 mil. So if you can get that on, usually you can pass on ride heights.
All the tricks of the trade from Sam Neary here.
Yeah, we definitely do not cheat on ride heights. That isn't what I'm saying. I've never stated that.
Let's guide you through the results then as the cars enter the pit lane. Round 18 of the championship for the GT Cup. Simon Orange and Michael O'Brien pick up the win by 5 seconds in the end from Ian Logie, with Hugo Cook and Marcus Clutton in 3rd. And the winner of Group GTO, Steve Burgess, was there in 4th. It was Ian Campbell and Ollie Webb in 5th, head of Leo Lucas and Bradley Ellis. And then it was Graham Tilley and Will Tregertha in 7th, head of Steve Ruston and John Whitehouse, with Andre Borodin and Ed Bean finishing in 9th. And Lucky Kira and David MacDonald won Group GTC in their Lamborghini, finishing in 10th. Jensen Lunn and Charlotte Birch finish in 11th place ahead of Roy Millington and Benny Simonson. And then the winners of Group GTH finished in 13th position. Tamo Shahan and Tom Roach ahead of their teammates Cavi Jundu and Adam Hatfield, with the championship leaders James Wallace and Sam Mayer-Lochnan finishing in 15th place in the end. They were the leaders coming into this weekend. It was Patrick Collins in 16th, the Kells in 17th, Mark Compton and Ewan Hankey were there in 18th place ahead of David Franklin and Adriano Medeiros, with Stephen Walton and Chris Hart completing the top 20. Outside of the top 20 was the first of the Formula Woman cars of Jodie Sloth and Erica Hoffman, with James Webb having problems in his Lamborghini in a spin, finishing in 22nd position ahead of Rhea Lewis and Charlie Hollings, Steph Saw and Sarah Mizu. Tom Barrow retired the BMW, and everybody from 25th onwards was all a casualty over the course of that particular race. And that is wrapping up our racing action from here at Silverstone. It's been good to have you alongside me. We'll get some further reaction from Michelle down there in the pit lane, because I think she's managed to catch up with Simon Orange.
I'm actually with Simon right now. We're live. Oh, we go. Hang on, stand by. Car's coming in. I'm here with Simon now. We're just welcoming our winners back into the garage. Here he comes. Michael O'Brien about to get out of the car. We'll have a chat with both of these guys in a minute, but I'll let you watch our triumphant driver as he gets out. I am with Simon, of course, who did some sterling work in the first part of the race, because of course it's all about teamwork. Here he comes. We've got a very happy team JMH Automotive here. Look at that. Smiles all around. I can tell he's smiling even with his helmet on. You can see it in the eyes. Superb. We'll dive in and have a little chat with them in a second. Come on, and you, Simon.
We had a problem with the space heater for the tyres. Yeah, the tyres were stone cold and he was right behind me.
Right, I'll let you take your helmet off and then we'll have a quick chat, because we're live. Come on, you as well, Simon. Oh, you've got your water there. Don't forget your water bottle. You've got your own water bottle with your name on. Listen, fantastic result. You must be chuffed to bits.
Yeah, really happy with that. Si made it look easy in the first half of the race. Really good racecraft to get us through to the front, and really started to control things before the pit stop.
Yeah.
So we thought it would all be comfortable, like a fairly easy finish, or not easy, but maybe a bit more smooth than yesterday. And the pit timer wasn't working, so I didn't know when to leave the box for one. And then the tyre tent had failed as well, so the tyres were stone cold leaving the pit box, and Marcus was right behind me on hot new tyres, so it made it very difficult on those first few laps, but happy to then get away and manage it from there and just nick the win at the end.
Yeah, you did, because Ian Logie was looking like he was going to take the win right the way through. But yeah, you did, and I think with 5 seconds as well in the end, with a 5-second lead.
Yeah, I think obviously the traffic ebbs and flows a little bit. You can get lucky and unlucky. I think I had my sort of bad stage at the start, and then he seemed to get a bit caught up at the end. So obviously drove really well, but yeah, we were able just to nick it on the line or at the end. So happy with that.
Superb. And Simon, just quickly with you, for the first part, was that a tactical move at the very beginning when you kind of let Hugo sort of go past? Was that a bit tactical? Did you think, yeah, you can have this one for now?
Yeah, I thought I'd be a better racer than behind, so I'll completely cockstow up and give him a chance. No, yeah, I was really annoyed at myself. I've gone to block him, even though he wasn't near enough to lunge. And as I've come back, I've missed my braking point and I've gone wide. I was, really annoyed, but I was determined to get them back, which I managed to do, luckily.
Yeah, you did. Well, listen, guys, well done. I'm going to go and let you celebrate with your team. But a fantastic result, really, from Silverstone for you, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. And JMH, the team here, have been fantastic. Chris and Adam, the mechanics, it's just been, they've set up the car brilliantly. It's fantastic. And Michael has a bit of input. Thanks a lot, Michelle.
Yeah, well, we'll see you at Donington.
Perfect. Yeah,
all right, enjoy your summer break.
Thank you.
And that pretty much wraps it up from Silverstone here. Fantastic result for JMH Automotive. But also, I have to say, Paddock Motorsport were really chuffed with their result. There was a lot of celebrating going on there as well. So it has been a thoroughly successful weekend of racing here at the legendary Silverstone circuit. You might have just heard me say there to the guys that we're having a little bit of a break. We're going off on our summer holidays. So we're not going to have any racing for you throughout August. But we will be back. We are going to be back at Donington, in fact, where we were a few months ago, for the rounds 19, 20, 21, 22. So we'll have 4 lots of racing for you there, and that will be on the 17th and 18th of September. I hope you can join me, because that'll be my sort of birthday weekender. So we'll make it a bit of a party, and hopefully Mark Werrell will make sure that there's cake for me as well. And I would like to say a massive thank you to Mark and Sam and Mo earlier on for all their sterling work on the commentary, and of course the whole team for onside here as well, who do a fantastic job. We hope you will join us again in September for more GT Cup Championship racing. But for now, from Silverstone, it's goodbye. Take care of yourselves.